Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave, and today I'm going to be answering the question, are Arsenal actually progressing under Mikel Arteta? Get into the comments below and let me know what you think. But anyway, smash that like button and let's get this party started. At the end of the 2018-19 Premier League, prior to Mikel Arteta's arrival, Arsenal finished 5th. Meanwhile, during Arteta's reign, the Gunners have picked up the 5th most points in the Premier League. Looking at these numbers, it's easy to assume that there has been little change under Arteta's watch, but during the Spaniard's first season and a half, Arsenal finished around 8th. However, this season, there are some noticeable differences at the Emirates. Largely setting up in a 4-2-3-1, the biggest progression can be seen in the areas in terms of the spending and transfers under Arteta. In the summer, Arsenal revamped their defence by signing Aaron Ramsdale in goal, Ben White to play alongside Gabriel, Tomiyasu at right back and Nuno Tavares to provide cover and competition for Kieran Tierney. In midfield, Thomas Partey is also looking like a £50 million player this season. With these 6 deepest players, Arsenal are pretty set for the foreseeable future. Meanwhile, in attack, Arteta has done some squad management, getting rid of wantaway captain Aubameyang and sharing attacking minutes between Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Martinelli, Emile, Smith-Rowe and Bukayo Saka. By massively reducing the average age of the squad, Arteta has already hugely increased the potential ceiling of his side, while seeing very little drop-off on the field. In fact, Arsenal have named the 18 youngest starting 11s in the Premier League this season, and their 2 youngest first-team players are at the heart of every good performance. With a third of the season to go, Bukayo Saka has already set his personal best for goals plus assists in a single Premier League season, whilst Emile Smith-Rowe scored more goals into the 21-22 Premier League season than he's managed in the rest of his appearances for Arsenal combined. By building his team around young, hungry academy graduates and buying players with professional attitudes, Arteta is also reducing the likelihood of his stars leaving, like we've seen happen time and time again at Arsenal. This season we've also seen a tweak in structure. At the start of the campaign, Saka and Aubameyang stretched the opposition with runs in behind. Smith-Rowe and Odegaard created a midfield U with a double pivot, whilst Tierney held the width on the left and Tomiyasu provided a solid back 3 to build from. However, with the departure of Aubameyang, Arteta has evolved again, naming Lacazette as his starting striker and replacing Smith-Rowe at times with Martinelli on the left. Now we're seeing the striker and the left winger switch roles as Martinelli stretches teams with runs in behind, as Lacazette drops deep. The shape as a whole is more resembling a diamond, with Partey taking up a single pivot position whilst left central midfielder, often Granit Xhaka, taking up more attacking positions when Arsenal have got the ball, and their overall build-up structure resembles more of a 4-1-4-1. Whilst they're on the attack, the shape changes and a 2-3-5 is used to break down the opposition. These changes have come as a result of changes in personnel, but the previous system is still functional, with Nketiah or even Martinelli up front and Smith-Rowe returning to the left. Within both structures, we've also seen a lot more rotation within the left and right hand sides of Arsenal's attacking unit. This positional interchange makes the Gunners far more unpredictable, making them harder to defend against. This new shape is highlighted by their first goal against Southampton, as Ramsdale is in possession. Ramsdale plays a 1-2 with Gabriel and works it to White. White finds Partey, who passes it to Tomiyasu. The right back plays a 1-2 with Odegaard and gives it to Saka, who drives towards goal and pulls it back for Lacazette to score. This is a quintessential Arteta goal, starting with the goalkeeper inviting pressure to create as much space as possible for their forwards. In the goal, you can see the new structure throughout, as Partey is the pivot point with 2 halves either side. This gives the Arsenal players the freedom to drop in and create diagonal passing lanes to quickly play through pressure. Then when they reach halfway, the dynamic wingers, Saka and Martinelli, are holding the width with a lot of space ahead of them. In this instance, Saka is able to drive into the space and has 3 targets to pick out in the box. We're definitely seeing progression from Arteta as a manager. He's built a system that's taken clear inspiration from Pep Guardiola, but has Arteta's own twist. He's also been making some good in-game decisions that are picking up points for his side. After trailing to Wolves despite being the better side for 3/4 of the game, Arteta made changes, moving Saka to the left and introducing Nicolas Pepe to add more width. He then brought on another striker to occupy more of Wolves' centre-backs, and went to a back three, as Arsenal scored twice to win the game. By matching up shapes, Arteta used the attacking quality of his squad to win their 1v1 duels, and the goals involved his substitutes. Nketiah teed up Pepe for the Ivorian to score, whilst he slipped in Lacazette to bag the winner. We've also seen a steady improvement across a number of different metrics. By incorporating a 2-3 structure in possession, Arteta has reduced the counter-attacking threat of the opposition, as there are more players to beat, with one of them also being a fullback, giving them more mobility, which makes Arsenal less vulnerable to counters. This season, only Spurs have conceded fewer Premier League goals from counter-attacks than Arsenal. On the flip side, Arsenal become more effective on the counter themselves. Last season, they managed just 1 goal in 38 games through fast breaks. Meanwhile, this season, they've scored 6 in 24, scoring more than anyone else in the Premier League, another sign of progression. Arteta has done this by moving away from constant pressure across all thirds, like we saw in the early months, to focus their efforts in the final third. This change in approach has led to a number of dangerous counter-attacking situations following pressure. Take that opening goal against Norwich. Arsenal go from the Canaries being in possession with Kabak to forcing a turnover, counter-attacking and putting the ball into the back of the net in around 8 seconds. Arsenal still adopt a man-orientated counter-press, but if they can't regain possession, they'll drop into their mid or low block 4-4-2 as they try and restrict the opposition's passing options. They still use a player to pressurise the ball, but their defensive structure is all about frustrating their opponents and making them play safe and backwards passes. Then if Arsenal can push the opposition back into their defensive third, they can again commit bodies and use a man-to-man scheme to force turnovers. But even when high up the pitch, Arsenal remain fairly patient, often resulting in hopeful long balls or easy to read switches of play. Then, if they can force the turnover, they can look to attack the goal directly and quickly. And the stats emphasise their game plan. Using data from Instat, Arsenal ranked 3rd in the Premier League this season for team pressing efficiency, which measures their success when they press with 2 or more players rather than individual player pressing. Meanwhile, in terms of individual pressures per 90, Arsenal rank in the bottom 3 for the defensive and middle third pressures, but rank 8th for final third pressures, which highlights the switch in aggressiveness when they're pushed into the final third. The Gunners are also making more use of set pieces, already scoring 50% more goals in the Premier League this season than the previous campaign. So we are seeing effective use of transfers, buying technical players suited to Arsenal's needs, increasing responsibility given to young players, being more resistant to counterattacks whilst being more effective with them, and there's been big improvements from set pieces. However, there's also a notable increase in errors leading to opponents' shots. This season, Arsenal have made 12 errors leading to shots, the most in the league. But it gets worse when you consider Arsenal have played just 24 games, meaning that they're gifting their opposition a chance every other game. This is definitely something that needs to be improved by Arteta, but he can't account for things like Granit Xhaka doing Granit Xhaka things until he has a first-team replacement. But we've also got to consider this is a very young squad and mistakes will be made. Arsenal aren't making drastic improvements, but they're steadily improving under Arteta. This season, there's a number of metrics that Arsenal are ranked 4th with, behind the likes of Liverpool, City and Chelsea, the 3 by far best teams in the league. But in terms of progression, it's really noticeable when you compare this season after 24 games to the same position last season. This season, Arsenal have won more games, scored more goals, and whilst they're slightly weaker defensively, most importantly, they've got more points this time round. And if you actually take points per game, Arsenal are actually 4th in the 21-22 Premier League season, 6 places better off. Already the 4th best team in the Premier League with the youngest squad, if Arsenal can upgrade Granit Xhaka and sign a relatively young goalscorer under 25 to play up front, then they'll be well on the way to bridging the gap between themselves, Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool. But anyway guys, what do you think? Are Arsenal actually progressing under Arteta? And do you think they need a change in management to break into the top 4? Let me know in the comments below. I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new. See you later. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel.